This past summer, 30 years ago in San Antonio, Texas, this city was absolutely rocked by two horrific crimes. Two young female victims were kidnapped and murdered here in San Antonio, Texas. I'm talking about Heidi Seeman and Erica Botello. Currently, I am walking down Stall Road at the corner of Willow Run. And on August 4th, 1990, 11-year-old Heidi Seeman had just spent the night at her friend's house and was walking on her way home from that sleepover at around 11 o'clock. And according to her friend whose house she spent the night at, she walked with her right up until the halfway mark, and then she went on by herself. And as the children were walking, they were noticing that a man described as either white or Latino with dark hair and a mustache was following them in a red car. When Heidi's friend returned to her home about an hour and a half later, 12:30 p.m., her parents were in her garden doing some gardening, and they noticed that Heidi had left about an hour and a half and still wasn't home yet, and they got very concerned. They called the police, and immediately the whole city of San Antonio set up a large search. Well over a few 100,000 people were involved in looking for Heidi. And sadly, her body was discovered on the 25th of August 1990 in a rural area of Wimberley, Texas in Hays County. The police are not releasing the cause of her homicide, but all they would say was that it was in fact a homicide. The second victim in this case, 7-year-old Erica Botello, was playing outside of this apartment complex to your left on August 23rd, 1990. Her father was keeping an eye on her as she was playing, and according to the interview with the police, he turned his head, presumably, possibly to talk to a neighbor, and when he turned around, she was gone. A whole city of San Antonio searching for Heidi Seeman quickly included little Erica Botello in the search, and tragically, that search for both victims again would come to an end on the 25th of August, 1990. Erica Botello's lifeless body was discovered about a mile away from here in a storm drain. Now, 3 men were arrested in her murder. 31-year-old Kenneth Earl Pope, 32-year-old Sherman Bedford, and 17-year-old Roderick Springs. And they even got a confession out of them, and there was witnesses that placed them involved in the murder. However, the charges were dismissed against them, and they were never brought up ever again. Currently, I'm at the San Fernando Cemetery number 2, just about a mile away from where Erica Botello was kidnapped and murdered. Unfortunately, however, I'm not able to find her grave. She has a flat stone, and this cemetery is pretty massive. I'm gonna guess there's well over 80,000 graves here alone. So I will return to San Antonio later next year and do a video on my main channel about her and her grave, and also her grave. 2 kidnappings and 2 murders The police say it was different individuals. 30 years later, still unsolved. Absolutely heartbreaking. The families are still seeking justice. Heidi Seeman is not buried in Texas. She was buried in Minnesota. So if anybody has any information on the murders of Heidi Seeman and Erica Botello, contact the San Antonio Police Department, 210-207-7635, 210-207-7635, or you can contact the Texas Rangers on their website. You go into the cold case section and there will be a tab where you can submit any kind of tips that you might have, either on this case or any other case that is on their website. All right, guys, I'm Lamont, and I will catch up with you on the next video. Peace out.